All right, we're going to get back to the beginning here. And let me get the chat up so I can watch that. And put me up here. Okay. So it's just about 12, just about time to start. Let me, in the chat, I'm pasting some of the things you may want to get from us, the keyword list, the turn my sound off. Okay, there's a keyword list in the chat to copy the Google Business Profile playlist that we might want to follow along the playbook and follow along with us. It gives you some more detail. I'll get that later as well. And then the Google Business Profile checklist. So that way you can go through and see what you have already and what you don't have. So those are in there as well. So I guess it is. Let me just double check one thing before we get started. I'm gonna move the chat way over here. If you do have questions, during the presentation, ask in the chat. I'll try to look over and see what's in there. And I also have a question and answer period at the end as well. So I just wanted to let you know that. So officially, welcome everyone. And I'm glad you're here for the Google Maps playbook. What you're going to find out, what you're expecting today, is we'll probably spend about 45 minutes and try to leave a little bit of questions at the end. What are Google Business Profiles, first of all, and are they still important now that it's 2025? And we're going to find out, yes, they really are. I honestly think that out of all the things that we use in digital marketing, Google Business Profiles, and I've been in this business for a long time, are the things I get asked most about and are the most unused and incorrectly used of all of the things. People kind of understand a little bit more about websites, social media, but Google Business Profiles are really misunderstood. So we're also going to go through the basics of how to claim, verify, optimize your Google Business Profile, talk a little bit about what might happen if you get suspended, talk about activities you should do to move yourself up and some things that you don't want to do to move yourself down. Best practices to get consistent leads, which is most important of why we'd even be using this. And then again, we're going to give you some of the things I already mentioned, the checklist, the keyword list, and offer, if you'd like an audit that you might want to come to schedule with us, well, we can go through everything with you at the end. Okay. So those of you who have been following me for a while know that we do a webinar or a masterclass about once a month. And we always focus on what we call the accelerated growth model. And that's really what we work at, because our idea, our goal, and our focus as a company is to grow remodeling companies, to help you grow, to be your partner to help you grow. And even if it's just helping you by giving you information, and you can do it on your own, that's fine as well too. But the whole idea is we want to drive leads. We then want to maximize the conversion of those leads, and we want to optimize our results. So organic search is where we're focusing today. Now, organic search has to do with both your webinar, your website, your Google Business Profile, social media. So that's main aspects of organic search. We're mostly focusing on Google Business Profile. We will do some on paid search. We've already talked to a degree on using your database with automations. We've talked about building in how to use SEO and to build a website and have it convert. In there, we've talked a little bit about reputation management, and we'll talk a little bit about that today too, but we'll be talking more. And then that very first seminar of the year, we always do about how much you should spend on your marketing, what your average cost lead should be, and what's your return on investment. So if you're interested in that, go back, because we'll do it again at the beginning of 26. But if you go back on YouTube, this is recorded. It's under Remodelers Marketing Crew 24 on YouTube, and you'll find that video, and that'll give you an idea of what kind of things to spend, how much you should spend, and how you should record that, and make sure you're getting a good return on your investment. But it's just same thing, write this out. You could look at it, but it's in a little bit more of a detail. Again, our focus here today is going to be organic, specifically Google Business Profiles. These are all of the things that you really need to dominate in a digital internet marketplace. That does not mean that you will do the other things, right? You should have leads coming in from everywhere. So you're still going to be doing referrals. You're still going to be part of your chamber of commerce. You're still going to be doing signs and maybe direct mail and things like that as well. But this is how to dominate on the internet, digital dominance. And these are all of the services that we offer, right? Getting that that website up, getting it found on the search engines. And now we really should have this /AI, because you also need to be found on AI, which we talked about in another seminar. Pay-per-click, the Google Business Profile, our focus today, social media, which we will do in future webinars, and reputation management and marketing automation. So we've talked about all of them to a degree, but our focus today, Google Maps. So one thing I want to say, and believe me, I've attended and presented in many webinars. And one of the things that unfortunately happens a lot is that people, they start and then they get distracted. So try to be in a place where no one's going to be calling you off. Shut the door if you're in an office, turn off your cell phone, don't look at Facebook. Try to just, if you're going to take the time to listen, really, really try to spend that. Because if you're a remodeling contractor, deck builder, general contractor, and you're really serious about getting found on Google Maps, this next 60 or so minutes is really going to change your life. Okay. So here's just to show you when you hit click for that Google Maps playbook, when you click it, it's going to say download here. It's going to take a second, so I won't wait too long for it, but it's going to then pop up, make a copy of it. So I'm going to close that because I already have a copy of the playbook right here. And that way it gives you your very own copy to look at. And then as you go through, and a lot of windows open, so it'll take a minute, but as you go through, you can follow along. So it highlights many of the key things and goes into a lot of detail, maybe more steps on the video verification, because I know once you leave the seminar, you're not going to remember every step there may be on a video verification, just for an example on there. So yeah, I'm at the bottom of this, but so I was looking at it this morning. So you'll have this as a handout. And again, though I want to emphasize, and I say this a lot, but reach out to us at the website, or reach out to us, to me personally, at Shannon@remodelersmarketingcrew.com. Email me directly if you want more specifics on video verification, on how to get them suspended, on how to get reviews, whatever you may have you want more detail on, just reach out to me and we will figure out a time to get together and do that. So that's the playbook, and you can follow through. So you can see it highlights here, and it's going to follow through our checklist as we go through. Okay. So quickly, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I'm asking you, to spend some time with me. And so I want you to know a little bit more about me. So you see, it's worth it. I've been more than 10 years of experience in the remodeling industry and marketing. We've had way more than 50 at this point. I should update this slide, businesses that we've increased their revenue for. We have, hopefully it is going to make it this summer, our new book, Stop Wasting Money, The Remodeler's No BS Guide to Digital Marketing That Actually Works. Spoken at industry events, widely accepted as a premier expert in internet marketing for the remodeling business. And we work with companies all over the United States for remodeling. It's kind of interesting fact about myself that makes me a little different than some of the others in this industry is that I actually taught at a university for many years. I have a doctorate degree in business administration, so I'm used to teaching and helping people along those lines, and I'm an expert on the subject. I really got started because I was the director of the Entrepreneurship Center at my university, and we were taking students out with the Small Business Administration and trying to help them. And one of the things we always found was that they needed more help with their digital marketing. But it was a semester-long course at that point, so I couldn't keep up with it. And people would be calling me after, help me. And so therefore, a business was born. Okay, so this is just a couple of the dozens of remodeling, deck building, general contractors that we work with all over the country. And here's just some of the team members. Actually, when I look at this, we have so many more on here now. And our mission is to triple the sales of 1,000 remodeling marketing companies. But one of the things I also want to say about this group And we have people that have master's degrees in SEO and AI, and like we've got really talented people on here. So when I'm giving you this information, it's not something I Googled or I read in a book. This is from real experience. So we've been doing this. We do this day in and day out. I talk to hundreds of remodelers every single month. I won't say every single, probably talk to 10 or 15 every week. So 100 maybe every month, hundreds in a year. And I've been doing this a long time. So a lot of knowledge on marketing and the remodeling business. So, okay, so let's really just start with the basics. What is a Google Business Profile? Well, a lot of you might think, wasn't it called Google My Business or GMB? And it literally took me, I think, 2 years, maybe longer to change. And still, many of my colleagues still say Google My Business instead of Google Business Profile. And it was called something, I think it was just called Google Business. I can't remember for the life of me. I was trying to think of it this morning, what it was called before that. Anyway, Google likes to change names a lot, but it's the same thing basically. So it is a free tool. Yeah, which is another thing that always amazes me that people don't use. And it's used for local visibility. You know, the key thing that's different is you can show reviews right there, right up front, page one, your services, your photos, reviews, and Google's providing that. You just have to be able to do it, right? And spend the time doing it, because it really is just like you should be using it, maybe not exactly like, but very similar to social media. You've got to be engaging with your potential clients. So let's, before we spend more time too, do these matter anymore in 2025, right? Well, yes, they do. Let me move my little face there a little. So 71% of clicks, and I see this over and over in studies, come from the first 5 listings. Now, we know that above here, so I just took a picture and tried to fit it to the slide, which wasn't easy, but above here, you're going to have your ads, right? So it might be your Google local service ads, your Google ads, so that's going to come on top, right? And so Google just keeps moving organic down, but we're still fighting for our places. Then comes the maps, and literally they used to show 7 to 10 in the maps. Now they show 3, and sometimes there'll be one ahead that's a sponsored, so there's an ad as well. So these 3 are the first 3 organic, meaning that they're free. And then sometimes you have people you ask, and then we have our organic websites coming up. Now, 71% of people click on these 3 or these 2, so the top 5 that show up. Okay, very few, less than 20% click on the ads, but people do click on ads, but that's not it. And then 42%, this is from Bright Local, which is like one of the biggest companies in citations and directory listings for your Google Maps profiles. 72% go in this area right here. So it's really important they have a Google Business Profile, and even more important that you're on the map. We call this the map pack, these 3 that show up on page 2. So the businesses of that 3 pack receive 93% more actions, clicks, calls, and messages than all of the others. So one thing you should have one, but the other to pay attention in is how do we get it to the map pack, right? Okay, so just a little other statistics, 46% of all Google searches are for somewhere local. 76% of those will get in touch with that business within 24 hours. So again, really important. And people do search for things like deck builder near me or bathroom remodeler in XYZ city. So it's very important. And this chart is kind of, again, interesting. And this is from a marketing company, but based off Google numbers. If you are number 1 position, you're going to get 43% of the clicks. Number 2, 37. You go all the way down to number 10, that's still on page 1, only 3% of the clicks. So you can imagine once you're not on page 1, right? Okay, so heat maps are where users do click first, right? They're eye-catching, they look different, they have pictures, they have reviews, and they're third-party reviews, right? Because I could, on my website, I could put any review I want. I could make up thousands of them if I wanted to. Don't recommend it, but you could do that. You can't do that with your Google Business Profile, right? You can't do that in Yelp either, but they don't pop up first. And they don't pop up with your reviews right on top. They just pop up Yelp. This pops up your company and showing the reviews and photos. So it attracts, and they're on a map where people can see, there they are, right? So it's showing relevance and closeness, top visibility. And to emphasize this, Google reports itself that optimized, which we're going to show you to do, Google business profiles are twice as likely to be considered trustworthy, which is one of the main things that Google considers when they rank, by potential customers as well. And having a well-managed, complete Google business profile is no longer really optional, right? It's essential. And it is, honestly, the thing I get asked most about that people don't really understand. Okay, so here's an example too, because people are like, oh, okay, those are a bunch of statistics. This is real life. This is one of my clients. So we've been working with them a long time, and I'm just showing you the data from 21 through we just started. I guess we didn't add in the last couple months here in 25, but you can see it's a deck building company. So we always go up really high in January, almost crash, and it's in Massachusetts, so you've got weather conditions. Although I find this across decks across the country, went up, went down. Then what happened? November 22, right here, we got their Google business profile was suspended, and it took us 6 months. Might have been a little bit longer. I think it was around May, right around here, we got it back. Okay, look every other year. January takes off, January takes off, January takes off. What happened this year? Flat, right? No Google business profile. The results were down 43% for the year of 23, and we lost at the end of 22. Google business profiles matter. I cannot tell you how much they matter. It's unbelievable. There's another case study. This is a client I worked with, and he decided it was expensive working with us. And so he said, I have a guy in my church and his son knows how to do this. I'm going to let him do it for a while. Well, they neglected it, to say the least. There wasn't any, he did a little bit on the website, but really just ignored the Google business profile. His leads basically dropped almost to nothing. And so they called, they said, you know what, made a mistake, we come back, yes. So we used the checklist, we got weekly posts, we helped him with his reviews, did Q&As, everything we're going to show you to do. And we moved that back up to the map packet within 2 months. Now, he was already there once, so it wasn't as hard. You may not get there in 2 months if you have a brand new one. But what happened then? The result, 20 plus calls from that Google business profile alone. So again, yes, I can't emphasize enough. I really can't how much Google business profiles matter. Okay, so claiming. So those of you that have it, this is only going to take a minute or two, and then we'll just be getting right into actually optimizing it and making sure that it's completely filled out. But if you don't have one, you want to go to business.google.com. Pro tip, already be logged into your Gmail account that is for that business if you have one, or you might want to start one. You can do it without a Google business profile, a Gmail, I'm sorry, but it's hard. It just makes it that much harder. Just get the Gmail, right? They own it. They like you to use their products. Then you're going to get there and you're going to add your business if you have one, right? You're going to type in, click on add your business or manage one, and you're going to start typing in the name of the business. Now, if that business already exists and maybe you've got it shut down or verified and it's already there, it'll pop up and then you have to claim it. If it doesn't pop up, then you're going to say, that you want to claim your new business. Okay, so either way, you're at that same step. Either it pops up and you're going into the next step of claiming it, or you're claiming it for the new time. We're going to talk a little bit about legal business names in a while, but just use your legal business name. Don't embellish on it. We'll talk more about that. Then choose a primary category, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, and add maybe 1 or 2 secondary categories as well. Okay, that you're going to get started. They're going to ask you to fill in this information, and then you're going to get to that point. They're going to say, do you want to verify? There we go. You want to add, okay, addresses. This is where it gets a little bit thorny, okay? If you actually have an office that people come to, you have a showroom or things that people come to, then no issue. I would say even if you have an office that clients do not come to, but it's an office, it's in a building, you have maybe a receptionist, an office manager, people that come to that office, use the address, even if you're business owner, even if your customers don't generally come there. Why do I say that? Well, Google will tell you that doesn't matter if you show the street address or not. It does, and I will tell you it does. I know, because I have Google business profiles where people don't want to show their address because maybe it's a friend's house. It's a real address that they're working at, but or a real address, but maybe not one that they're working at, and they wanted to have the Google business profile in that location. Then I would say use the service area business. I know for a fact that it is harder to rank. It takes more work to rank a business that's as service area versus a street address. So you can use a street address and it's real, use it. If not, you still need a real address. But if you don't want to show it, use your service area address. But remember, use a real address. Always use a real address. Don't use PO boxes or those WeWork places. Google already has most of them, and they're going to just say no right from the beginning. It can be a home office, but if you have to video verify it, we'll show you. But you can have a home office, and you have to verify it. It just is a little bit more work. I'm going to tell you something else. Again, this is my opinion, but I've been doing it for years. If you get a website live, your social media live, do a bunch of press releases, get yourself in a lot of directories, maybe even do some Google News blasts, before you claim it, you're more likely to get it verified quicker and possibly even with a text verification. Why? Remember, Google wants to, why do we say Google it? We say Google it because everyone's like, oh, Google's going to give me good results. If I'm looking for a bath remodeler in XYZ city, Google's going to find that for me. And because 90 or maybe more, 99% of the time they do. So they want to stay in that position in our heads and all of us, that we're going to get good results from them. So Google wants to know that it's a real business. Unfortunately, a lot of people do come up with the fake Google business profiles. So they want to know it's a real business, it really exists, it's trustworthy, it's authoritative, it is in that location, right? So if you have all that set and then you go to verify, they're going to go out and look and go, oh, website, they're in a bunch of directories, they have press releases, if they're on social media, you may get just a text code to verify, and you may not have to go through the work of a video verification. So it's something I highly recommend. You want more details, again, meet with us and we'll let you know. So that leads me to the phone number. I would suggest you use a phone number that can accept a cell, accept a text from a cell, not a tracking number. Most of the tracking numbers you cannot get codes from a text. And if they do give you a verification from a code, you want to be able to receive that. So that would be what I would say. But also, you don't want to change the phone number. You don't want to change as you move on further, you don't want to change the address or the phone number unless you absolutely have to, because more than likely that's going to cause a re-verification or a suspension. And that's going to now take you off the listings and take time for you to get it back verified or unsuspended. So make sure when you do have that phone number, you do have that address, you're really sure that you're going to be there for a while. And that's the number you're going to use. So don't just say, oh, I'll use this number. I'll use my daughter's number just to get the code and then I'll switch it. That's not a good idea. Okay. And put your website on there. You have it. If you don't, add it later. Business hours. Another very controversial point. A lot of people say you should always do 24/7. I don't, because why is that reasoning? Is they say that when someone's Googling, looking for you on a search engine, that if your business isn't open, it's not as likely to come up in the search. Now, however, how many remodeling companies are open 24/7? Very few. So most of your competition won't have that either. Now, if you're a plumber, right, if you got to go out on emergencies, you're probably open 24/7, but probably not as much for remodeling. So, but can you be answering the phone from 7 to 6 instead of 9 to 5? No, that might expand your hours a little, but keep them there and keep them accurate. Upload your logo, cover image, use a branded short profile name so it's easy to find you. And a pro tip, use real images. It's something I'm constantly saying to my clients. We need more real images. Literally, we don't need much from clients. I need reviews and real images and videos. Otherwise, we can do everything else. But we really can't, unless we send a photographer out, we can't get the videos from you. And the videos from your phone are the best. They're automatically geotagged. And, we don't want them to look 100% professional because we don't want them to look like stock photos. And the geotag tells Google again, oh, they did do that remodel in XYZ tab. Now we have things that we can geotag. The geotags from the phones are even better. So let's say you got to the part, you entered all of this information. Well, we're going to talk about other information that you want to add to optimize it. But at this point, they're going to ask you, to verify. They're either going to, at that point, they used to send postcards. I haven't seen a postcard sent in at least 3 years, I would say. I would say a year ago, I was saying with all that prep work I talked about, I was getting 90% text verified. It's starting to drop more towards 50%, and 50% are video verifications. Well, obviously the text is easy. You take that code, you put it in, you're verified. So I don't need to go into anything on that. A video verification is a little bit more work though. So in that playbook, I outline it more. And if you even want more detail, again, email me and I'll send you even more detail, or jump on a call with me and I'll help you out with that. But videos are being required for most profiles, especially if you don't do all that prep work I mentioned. So you should be logged into your Google Business, your Gmail. You're going to go right into the email that says you need to be verified. You're going to click on that. It has to be like around 2 minutes. You've got to include the sign outside, your building, signage, business cards, all of that information's got to be included. And the details are, a lot of them are in that playbook, but, and you might have to do more than one. I would say 90% do 2 or 3 to get it through. So what if you do get rejected and they say they need more? So they're going to ask you to submit things like your license, your insurance, your a utility bill that might be in the company's name that has the address on it, because they're looking to see that you actually are at that address. Okay. You could provide photos of your workspace, exterior signage, pictures of that. This is besides the video. The more you can give them that would prove it, the more likely that you're going to get approved. You can request a live video call. If anybody here has worked with Google support, and believe me, I unfortunately have for years, it's practically non-existent. So you may get it, but I wouldn't count on it. If you do get rejected again, just keep appealing it. And after you get to 2 or 3 appeals, you might want to look for professional help on that, or you might want to start all over again from scratch. And again, a professional could give you when is that point that you have to just try to get a new Google Business profile. All right. Organization. So the one thing you're going to see here when we're going to organize this to make sure it's completely optimized. And you'll see up in the corner when you're looking at your Google Business profile, there's a little circle that's going to say the strength, like, are you 100% optimized? And I'm going to give you a little hint, because people have been like, everything I do, I've done every single thing and I'm not 100% optimized. If you don't run Google Ads, you're never going to be 100% optimized. Okay. So don't worry. If you're at 90%, it's just probably because you don't run Google Ads. Or I've seen this happen before too. Run Google Ads for a little while, stop, and it still stays at 100%. So far, to my knowledge, that's what's been happening. So the NAP is really important. That's the name, address, and phone number. You're going to hear this all the time. And I think I've already kind of talked about it before. So ensure it's identical everywhere, right? Because so if you are Joe's Remodeling LLC, don't sometimes have Joe's Remodeling or Joe's Remodeling Inc. Always Joe's Remodeling LLC, if that's what you use on your Google Business profile. For every directory listing, anything it's in Yelp, it's in Chamber of Commerce, everywhere. The address, right? If you're 100 Main Street, Suite 200, don't sometimes use 100 Main Street. Always add the Suite 200, whatever it was on there. I don't know what I said, but the exact address, the exact zip code, it has to be exactly the same, and the phone number as well. As far as categories, usually you don't want to have just contractor, but sometimes you could have general contractor. What I would suggest, and which is what I do with my clients, is we look at the competition. Who are the people that are you're coming in contact with that are most likely winning some of the jobs that you don't? What do they have on their Google Business profile? Because lots of times, you can have kitchen remodeler or bath remodeler, but those could be your secondary categories if you just want to have general contractor on top. Or if really all you do is bath, then of course, bath should be your primary category. And a couple, maybe you do a little bit of decks, a little bit of that, put those as your secondary. But whatever's the primary thing you do should be your primary category, and then add your secondary categories. Descriptions. So when the descriptions, you have 750 characters. I think I checked, this is 742 or something like that. So we're really close to using everything. You don't want to keyword stuff. What keyword stuff means is using the word deck remodeling, kitchen remodeling, bath remodeling over and over again, right? You don't want to do that. But you do want them to know the name of your company, what you do, where you do it, and then your value proposition. So here it's the name of the company's Hancock Renovations. They're a general contractor in Quincy, Mass, but they also serve the surrounding towns, and everyone in that surrounding area knows it's called the South Shore. And then they start getting more specific. We do remodeling and renovation, in case someone doesn't know the difference. And they list bathrooms, kitchen, bathroom, blah, 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 all of a sudden do there. And then what's their value proposition? And I hear this from remodeling companies all the time. If they lose a bid, a lot of times they're like, oh, well, I'm going to have my cousin do some of it. Or, this guy down the street, he's cheaper. I know he's not insured or licensed, but I think he'll be fine. It's not that big a job, right? And so we're kind of tackling that idea in here. So whatever you think is the most important to tackle, put that in your description, but use as many, you have this many characters, use them, okay? Another few like pro tips here. Lots of times people are like, well, I just have services. I don't have products because I just, I remodel kitchens, I remodel baths, I build home additions. Those can be listed as products too, and use pictures. Home addition is a product. Second story, fire expert, in-law suite, right? You can use those as products. Don't forget to do that. It really helps. Upload projects. You should be posting in here weekly, and you should be adding pictures, projects, mentions about blog articles that you wrote. Hey, we just talked about the cost, all the different ways that might affect costs of kitchen remodeling in our latest blog. Go here to check it out. Boom, learn more. They go there and you're driving them to your website. Okay, so you have to be informing and engaging with your clients. And in fact, I can't remember, I think it's 6 to 12 months. If you don't post anything, legally, they could take your Google Business Profile away. But you need to post to make a difference. And I showed you that example of that contractor out of Boston that let it go, went down in the listings, lost a lot of leads, and we had to build it back up again. And the booking link, see if it works for you. But the booking links can help. So check that out, decide if it works for you or not. Keeping yourself relevant, right? We want to stay relevant. So post at least once a week. That's the minimum I would suggest. More if you want to. Here's some ideas, right? Thinking of an outsort. Discover the pros and cons. And that's talking about the pros and cons of putting a outsort deck. And if you had clicked on that, it would bring us to our full blog on it. And that's his latest trends in pool deck design, okay? So post about your blog, post about this month. We might think it's cold in December, but we still build decks. It's 10% off if you have a deck built in September, something like that. Share project offers, frequently asked questions, use your service location keywords naturally. You want to use them, but use them naturally, right? And we're going to provide you a list of keywords that you might consider using, and it gives you the volume and the keyword difficulty too. Reviews. Next to optimizing your portfolio, your Google Business Profile, reviews are second to getting you to rank. And then all of the posting and all of that, but reviews absolutely matter. So go in and Google yourself in that area, or kitchen remodel, wherever you are, and see the people that are up there. There's exceptions, but most of the time they have a lot of reviews and good reviews. So what would be a perfect? This isn't the perfect. It does say, it gives the name of the company. It tells what they did. They used good materials, and then they had a smooth process. So that's good. What would make this better? Our deck installation in Ontario, because I know this company is located in Ontario, California. But now we've also told Google, oh yeah, so they recognize it's in that area, right? And what if they added pictures, right? So when they can give you details of the work they did, even using deck builders is nice, but sometimes actually using the person you work with's name even gives it more familiarity. Where they did it, what they did, the better the detail, the better, and pictures, right? Aim for 5 to 10 a month. That's reasonable for a good-sized remodeling company, right? A plumber, on the other hand, right? They could probably get 30 or 40 or 50 a month, right? Because they're seeing 10 clients a day, maybe more, depending on the size of the plumbing industry, right? Or the plumbing company. But, the biggest thing is you don't want Google to not believe you, right? If you're a small remodeling company in a small town, and all of a sudden you get 10 reviews in one day, they're going to be like, that's not natural. And they may take off the reviews. That's bad. Worse, they may suspend you. So that's even worse. Now you've lost your Google Business profile. You got to go back and get it. And many times they won't put the reviews back up again. So the other thing I always do, when you do get a review, Google's going to send you an email. I put them in a folder. If you notice the reviews go down, sometimes Google just takes your reviews off. If you notice that, you can go to Google. There's a place on there. If you can't find it, let us know. We'll help you with that you can request your reviews back. If you actually have the email that they sent showing you the picture, here's the email you sent me that this review was up, you have a much better shot of getting them back. So another kind of side pro tip. I could probably make this a 3-hour seminar to give you all the things on Google Business Profiles. Q&As. Okay. So this is when you're going to get into your Google Business Profile and you're going to be optimizing it. This is where you're going to be working. Right? So you're going to go in, open up your Google Business Profile. Yeah, see, that circle is closed. So they had to run ads to get that circle closed. Otherwise, you'll have a teeny little opening. Here's where you're going to add, when you click on here, that's where you have like adding a manager to your account and things like that. Here's where you're going to edit, so if you wanted to change the description, the hours, things like that, that's where you'd edit here. That's where you can read and respond to your reviews, read and respond messages, add photos. Can't emphasize enough, add those photos. Here's where you can look at your performance. What was your engagement? How many clicks? How many calls? Here's where you could use advertising. Here's the products, right? I said, make sure you use products. Here's your services, right? You want to add, so you might have deck, so you have your category, deck builder, but your services, well, I design decks, I construct decks, I replace decks, I repair decks, right? So all of those are services. And then you want to put descriptions for each service as well. You might be like, oh my gosh, it's going to take me the rest of my life. Yeah, give yourself a goal. Do 2 a week, 3 a week, till you get it all filled up. Or again, hire somebody. That would be where the bookings come in. Q&As. This is important. Now let's say we're going to look at a heat map in a little bit, and maybe there's a couple of places in this little area that you're aiming at that you're not ranking at. Well, you can ask yourself a Q&A. Do you do kitchen remodels in this part of town? And you answer it. Yes, we absolutely do. Well, now you've told your clients and Google that you do that, and you're more likely to be ranking in that area. Another key thing is if you're missing one area is when you do a job there, ask the client when they do a review, hey, can you specifically mention the town? Because we need some more reviews in this area. Okay. This is where you're going to be posting or offering specials and things like that. So this is the one you're going to be using probably the most. And this is your link to get your reviews. So you want to click on that, get that link. That's what you want to text to your clients or email to your clients. Say, hey, could you give me a review? You can turn it into a QR code, put it on a business card, right in there. So those are key things. And this is where you're going to be working to optimize your Google Business Profile. Okay. And I'll go over and look, make sure there's no questions in the chat. Nope, nothing right now. Okay, good. We have question and answers at the end. So mistakes, what might be hurting you? This is a little bit of an exaggeration, but it is what some people do. What should they have named their company? Bayside Remodelers. That should be the name of the company, end of story, right? But they put Bayside Remodels, professional bathroom remodeling, satisfaction guaranteed, best remodelers in town. You can put that in your description, but it shouldn't be the name of your company. Usually you don't see it that exaggerated. Bayside Remodelers, best remodelers in San Diego. Something like that. It still shouldn't be. And it is actually a violation of Google's policy. So don't do that. Another big mistake, which we already talked about, inconsistent maps, right? Not using adding the street number, missing the LLC that you put. If you put Bay State Remodelers, always use Bay State Remodelers, not LLC sometimes, or not Inc. sometimes, right? Keep it consistent. It seems ridiculous, but it's very important to Google. Ignoring reviews. So answer every review, especially the negative ones, okay? I have found that with my clients, I'd say 70 to 80% of the bad reviews are actually mistakes. Somebody mistook our company. We had one last week that someone said, hey, I called you twice, you never showed up, blah, blah. We looked at, we didn't have that person's name, phone number, or email anywhere in any of our records. So we reached back out and said, hey, you know what? We literally cannot find you. We're sorry you had this experience. We'd be glad to help you, but we think that you probably are mistaking us. The person said, yeah, I think you're right. This is the phone number we used. It wasn't the same phone number. Boom, review is bad, and we got a new client. So but they got a new client. So it can work out. And sometimes there are things that just didn't go well. And then you need to explain it though on your review. Try to reconcile it, make it work. That may not work. There are some people, we all know they're just never going to work it out, but at least give your side of the story. And if you do get a bad one, just get 10 good ones, kind of bury it. The other thing is, what's going to hurt you is not posting pictures and not doing those Q&As, right? You've got to keep the activity up. Here's a couple of case studies. So we've talked a little bit already about John Hancock renovations. So when we started with this company, this is what it looked like, all 20s. So this is called a heat map. And this says in every single little spot here, right? We put in this case, home remodeling South Shore. And everything's 20, which means not ranking at all, 20 plus. That means it's not even ranking. That's what that means. Here we were, I believe this was 9, it might have been 8, either 8 to 9 months later, right? Almost all ones. There's an occasional, there's one little 6 in here and a couple 4s, but that's a 30 by almost 30 radius. And we're almost number ones everywhere in there. So we're still working at it, right? We're number 2, got to get above South Shore Dream Bath, but we're close and they have South Shore in their name too. So what did we do? Better branding, targeted content, really targeted for location. We did review campaigns, built up our reviews. Social media management needs to go with it. You need to be found everywhere. And we optimize that Google Business Profile with all the things we just told you. Oh, and now, and get this one, as I mentioned, they're getting, this alone's 30 plus. When they add it with the basement one, I think it's 40 plus leads a month. And that's without spending any money on ads. This is one we had in Fairfield, Connecticut. This one, when we first started with it, they actually had a little bit, and it was a pretty new Google Business Profile. There was a couple of 5s and 6s here. That's right where their address was, but mostly all 20s. This is like a 50 by 30 mile area. So this is a really large area. And in about, this one I think only took us 5 months to get it to here, but also this Google Business Profile was up and going for a little while. So we had a little bit of a start. But again, we did branding, we did build, they didn't have a website, we rebuilt their website, completely built it. Now 95% is in terms 1 through 3, and they're getting 25 plus qualified calls. Okay, so Google Business Profiles matter. Okay, so we asked, Google, and Google will tell you, what are the 3 most highest factors for ranking your Google Business Profile? The first one they said is relevance, right? So why do we say Google it again, right? Google it because they're the experts. We think of them as the experts as finding it. So they want to give us good results so that we keep using Google and they stay in existence, right? So they want to give us good results. So they're going to check, okay, so I just said I want a kitchen remodeler in this area. So they're going to say, okay, that they have kitchen remodeling in their categories. They have it in their detailed listings. It's in their keywords and posts. The reviews talk about it. The description talks about it, right? And so it's on their website. It's in their social media. So they're relevant. So we got that one down. And we look at the description, just another example of a description, the name of the company, they're a deck builder, where they do it. And then we get more specific. Design, installation, construction, pools, repairs, right? As we get into it. Okay. 2 is location. So this is kind of a bullseye on a map. So when you put up an address in a Google Business Profile, it's like an antenna. And that's where you start. And you're more likely to get your 1s and 2s on that heat map we were talking about right here, right? Just as I showed in that Fairfield one, right? They already had a couple of yellows in there. Then as we get more and more reviews, add more content, get more relevant, you spread out, as you saw in those maps. So distance is huge. Generally, the rule is Google is you can't have a second Google Business Profile unless you are about 30 to 40 miles away from the other one. And I don't have time to go into all the different locations right now, but if we have time, I will go into it, about getting different locations for Google Business Profiles. But at least start with one, and then we can start with others on top of that. But you want to get that one place, and then you want to build around it. And so adding the towns and adding zip codes to that area helps as well. Make sure it's a legitimate address. We already talked about that. Try to get reviews where they talk about it. Do Q&As where they talk about your address, your location, your town. That really helps. And the third factor is your prominence, right? How credible and visible is your business overall? So Google Business Profile looks good. What about everything else, right? So looking at the reviews, there are high volume of keywords in those reviews. The NAP, right? Name, address, phone number. It's the same across everything, your directories, your social media, everywhere. They're updating with posts and photos. Okay, Google's going, okay, this all looks good, right? We look at their website. Wow, it's a nice website. It's trustworthy. It's authoritative. They're adding information to it every single month. The pictures look good. The services, the keywords are there. They're ranking. And they have a social media presence, right? You have all of that. Those three things, right? Going to get you. We've got to get, whoop, let me go back. I went too far. Relevance, make sure you're relevant. Make sure that you know you're aiming for that area, and we're going to include that whole area, right? If I go back here, remember we started out not ranking anywhere, and now we're ranking everywhere in the map pack. And then finally, making sure that you look credible, visible, authoritative. And you need to have a website and Google and social media to help you with that. In your reviews, we've talked about this a lot, so I'd probably go on this one quickly, but make sure that if they can mention the service, the location, add photos. It's key. You can sometimes do, follow-up templates, different little things I'll add in here. NFC cards, those little cards you use like to get into a hotel or whatever. Program it with your Google Business Profile review, tap it on the person's phone number when you leave, on their phone, not their number, on their actual phone, and it pops right up and you leave a review. Okay. And again, aim for 5 to 10 a month if possible, depending on the size of your company. Maybe it doesn't make sense, more 3 or 4 a month, or maybe some larger companies are bigger. I have clients that literally only do 3 million in revenue a year, but only do 10 jobs because they only do really big jobs. So they're going to get a more detailed review from that person, but it's going to make a difference. Versus I have other clients that, do 1-day baths. And so they'll do 1 or 2 days to finish every bath, and they have 2 or 3 teams out. It would not be hard for them to get 10 reviews in a month. So think about that as well. This isn't so much for ranking, but for measure, right? You can't get better unless you measure, right? So this UTM code that you put in, we can help you if you need help with it. You just put it on, and then it'll measure the traffic in your Google Analytics and tell you what's coming from your Google Business Profile and what's converting. So you really can say, oh yeah, this thing does work, right? So that's helpful. 3 advanced ways to boost your rankings or your SEO on your Google Business Profile. I'm trying to think if we missed any of them. We've got services as products. Okay, this is really overlooked so much. So I guess I want to mention it twice. Making sure that from the business is talking about everything. So here again, we have Fairfield County, and then they talk about all the things that they do. These guys, what's their proposition? They've been in business over 50 years, right? So they're trying to focus on that. We've been in business 50 years. We've seen everything. Come to us, right? Upload geotagged photos from your job sites. So we have mentioned all of these, but again, I can't emphasize enough how important they are. So quick recap of what we've covered. What is a Google Business Profile? For those of you who didn't know what they are, because they're so important. I hope that I've gotten that message across. How to claim it, how to verify it, how to optimize it, step by step by step. And there'll be more steps in the checklist and in that playbook. So if you forget after it, and again, or this will be taped so you can watch the video on YouTube. What to post, how to track it, and maintain the monthly upgrading. So maintain the monthly usage. Set up a schedule, right? Either hire someone to do it or set up a schedule. I optimize on Mondays. I post on Tuesdays. I get more pictures on Wednesdays. Like, just get a schedule. And then what to avoid. So, what moves you up and what to avoid to move you down. So we talked about that. So what will you get today? The keyword list for remodelers. So you click here, or again, it is in the chat. And I'm going to show them to you in a minute, and the checklist. So let me stop for a second. I think I just have to escape here for a second. And so I already showed you the playbook. Here's the keyword list. I had them all open before we started. So there's three pages. I guess I'm on the bathroom remodel one right now, but there's one just for bathroom, one just for kitchen, and one just general remodeling. We have the other ones. So if you're just do deck building or you're looking at ADUs or whatever it may be, give us a call. We'll send you the or email us, text us, and we will send you a keyword list on any of those as well. And the key thing is also we've listed those telling you their intent, the volume, and the keyword difficulty. So the keyword difficulty means it's going to be harder to rank with something that has a 77, right? You want to try when you're first starting to get those keywords that are 30 or under, right? And when you think about it, if you just put like bathroom remodeling or bathroom remodel ideas, they might not have any intent to actually buy them to start. They're just thinking about, no, maybe I want a bathroom remodel. But when they're now going bathroom remodel near me, or bathroom remodeling near me, right? These are transactional, right? They are pretty high keyword difficulty, but if you can get those, you're really getting there. So you want to look at more of that transactional. Bathroom remodelers, contractors near me, right? That person's when they're Googling that, they're looking for someone to do some work for them. And that's a little bit less. That's 46, right? And it goes all the way down. So it's going to list it by volume, but it also shows you the keyword difficulty. And there's a page for kitchen and a page for just remodeling in general, home remodeling, bath. So it mixes that all up. And we can get you others as well. And then the checklist. So if you go through a second to upload, right? So it's going to give you the initial, what you should do when you first start to get it optimized, the recurring maintenance, much more detailed description of the video verification and the steps that you go through, and then some ideas on getting it reinstated if something goes wrong. Okay. So those are already, anything else you need, just ask. All right. Okay, so we are at that point of Q&As. Does look, see, make sure I can see my chat screen. Not sure anything's, I'm only seeing the bottom of the screen. Let's see. Oh. I'm not sure why it is not showing me the chat. So I can't even see the things that I mentioned to you guys. Let's see. Okay. Oh. Look on there. Okay. Oh, I do see a question. What if I don't have a physical store or office? So again, a lot of people have just home offices. And if you don't get the actual, so you should use your address of your home office and then go through the video. If you don't get the text verification, go through the video. You might want to go have some signs printed that you have on the side of your truck, signs printed that you could put on the outside of your home office, on the outside of the door to your home office. And just follow through the videos on that. Have the an office open with the computer screen, maybe open to the back end of your website, things like that would help. So yes, you can do it. It's just a little bit more challenging. What other one? What can I do to encourage reviews? So again, I mentioned one of the things we do with automations is once, we always try the NFC card right there. Can we get the review right away? Sometimes that doesn't work. Client wasn't there when we left, some things like that. Always, most of the time you have their email and their text number. So we can do that. We have automations that would automatically send it out. The job's complete, boom, we go out, we ask with the text, we ask with the email, ask one more with the text, and maybe have one phone call too. Hey, would you mind doing that? How about if you get them on the phone and say, would you mind leaving us a review? Do you happy with the service? Yeah, great. How about I text you the link right now and then I can walk you through how to do the review. That can help too. Also, as I mentioned, contests with your employees saying, hey, whoever gets the most reviews for us this week or this month or this quarter, however you want to do it, buy them dinner out or Starbucks, whatever you want to do. You shouldn't pay, they don't want you to pay for reviews, so you can't really say that. Those are mostly it, but automations really help a lot. We can set up that for you too, if you're interested in that. How do I know if my Google Business Profile is working? Well, one was adding that code that I mentioned, and the other is that looking at in that area. Let's see if I go back a few slides. Yeah, right here. Right when you're in here, hit on performance, and that's going to come up with tell you all of the performance over the last 3 months, and then you can move that as well. And they will email you this as well. So it's going to email you to that Gmail that's associated with that. You will get a once a month email with that as well. So you can save those, but you can also always check by going in here as well. And if you're working with an organization, an agency, they should automatically be telling you what the results are for everything. Multiple locations is another question. With the multiple locations, again, Google's rule is about 30 to 40 miles. I have one company that, they have multiple locations. They all are at least 30, 40 miles away, but they literally called it the exact same name, which I am shocked they got away with, but they did. They came to us after they already did this. So it's the same name on all of them, the name of their company, but they didn't change it. I've had more success with people that change it a little bit. One might be Joe's remodeling Metro West and Joe's remodeling Metro South. So just differentiating, or one's Inc., one's LLC. So just changing the name of the company just slightly with the different address or the different NAP, but the name's a little bit different. I've seen more success with that, but I've seen them both work. But yeah, you don't want to do it though. It doesn't really do you any good to have them 2 miles away. I've seen a couple of people get them, and I'm like, well, really doesn't do you any good. We're now posting twice as much and everything, but it's in the exact same location. So really, the benefit of having multiple Google Business Profiles is because really the radius, as I mentioned, there's that antenna and it goes around. So the radius of that area is around, sometimes you can get, if it's not that competitive, 30, 40, 50 miles, as I showed you there, but you're probably not going to get further than that on one Google Business Profile. So once you're spreading out that's when you'd want to have a different location. Okay. See anything else coming in? So I just want to kind of review here. If you want, you can just go on our website, remodelersmarketingcrew.com, and there's a link right at the top that says schedule. I think it says schedule a strategy session. Or you can just ask us to do an audit and we can get back to you in a video. Or you can actually schedule a strategy session, and we can cover more than just your Google Business Profile. We can look at your social media, you can look at your website, you can look at ads if you have that, give you feedback. I have never, ever had anyone that I spent an hour with, generally these sessions are about an hour, that didn't walk away with a huge amount of knowledge. Obviously, not every one of them walked away being our client, but no one has ever said, ever. And we've done some surveys afterwards, that, wow, I wasted an hour. Because we're going to point out what you're doing right, where you could use some improvement, and give you an exact plan of what you could do. And if you decide that it's best for you to do it on your own or go somewhere else, you'll be more educated. And if you decide that we're a good fit and we work together, that could be great too. Okay, so that's a direct link to schedule, but you can do it right from the website. Or again, Shannon at Remodelers Marketing Crew. So Shannon at remodelersmarketingcrew.com goes directly to me. And there's the website again, and there's our YouTube channel to watch. Not only do we have all the webinars and masterclasses that we've done up there, but we also we do daily tips on social media, where I just tell you a daily tip on, maybe how to get reviews, or what types of content, or what types of keywords, or all sorts of different things that are on there. So you should follow us on social media, or on YouTube. You'll see a lot of the replays of some of the longer videos that are on there. So I hope everyone has learned a lot from this, and I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.